Hi, I'm Irma Lancaster.
And I'm Adam Malloy, and welcome to Parent University.
On today's session, we'll talk how to prepare your high school student for college.
And how to get more involved in the community with Community Cooperative.
We'll show you how to access your child's learning via iReady.
All that and so much more on this learning session of Parent University.
All right, Irma, thank you. And right now I'm joined by Lori Brooks, who's our Director of School Counseling and Mental Health Services. And we're going to talk about college applications. We're going to talk some about seniors, and then for those of you that may be juniors or sophomores, a little bit younger. So Lori, we're glad you're here. This is an important topic for a lot of our high school students. So if you're a senior right now, what would you recommend a senior do? We've missed and gone by some of the deadlines for the early application. We're in those rolling application processes now. So as a high school senior, what should you do right now?
So as far as college applications, if you have not yet applied, check your admission deadlines and make sure that those application windows are still open at your post-secondary schools of choice. So some have rolling admissions, others have hard deadlines, and yet other colleges have open enrollment where you can apply even through the summer. Those would be our state colleges, not necessarily our competitive admissions schools. For all seniors, whether you've applied to college or not, the other very important piece to this is applying for financial aid. And the financial aid application opened on October 1st. And so the earlier you apply, the more competitive you may be to be offered awards because the money is still there and not tapped into yet. And so we have the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. The FAFSA form needs to be completed by our seniors and their parents and guardians. And then also the Bright Futures Scholarship opened up October 1st, and so that application is a very short one, but it's necessary and required. And then also making sure that students need to apply for scholarships in an ongoing manner because scholarships have different deadlines, and those last throughout the entire senior year, even through May.
Where do you recommend finding scholarships and the available scholarships that are out there for our students to perhaps win?
So there are three main sources for scholarships that we recommend our seniors consider. The first is their school. They have a Google Classroom. Each high school has a Google Classroom where they post all scholarships that are shared with our school system. A lot of those are local, but they're also national, but they're recurring scholarships. These are kind of our tried and true opportunities where our schools are used to having students apply, and they're true bona fide application processes. And so that's the first place I would recommend that students start. The second place for scholarships is the college websites or your post-secondary school. There's scholarships available that each school will give away to applicants and admitted students. So that's another second source for untapped funding that your high schools will not have in their Google Classroom. And then the third is some of the scholarship websites. And so you can Google scholarship websites and spend enormous amounts of time on these sites. So you have to be really careful though. If you engage with scholarship websites out open to the public, some of them will, you check their privacy policies because some will actually farm your information. And so you want to be really careful that the ones that you look at and choose to engage with that you're going to find more scholarship opportunities there that you did not find in the other two places that we just discussed, but just be really careful that if you engage by doing your homework first.
Yeah. And you and I have talked before about this, about scholarships. Think of it as a job and that return on investment. So if it takes an hour and you get a $1,000 scholarship, you just got paid $1,000 an hour.
Exactly. And if our students, especially during senior year, if they invest an hour a week in doing these, at least the two locations, definitely go to your school site, use your school counselor, and apply for all of the scholarships that you can through your school. And then also check your post-secondary sites and apply there. They will not have as many opportunities, but they do have several. And then you might use the search engines. But if you spend at least an hour a week through the duration of your senior year and you develop a milestone calendar and stick with it, you will be disciplined enough to make sure you've captured every opportunity.
All right, if you've got a senior right now and you're their parent, what do you do to get this process done in time to get into college and get those scholarship opportunities?
I think the most important thing that parents can do is stay on top of it with their children. Everyone's busy, and our students are still students. They're still teenagers. And even the most organized student can get distracted. So make a plan, even if it's now. Stick to the plan. Check in with your child. Where are we with this? What else have you done? Go into those websites yourself as a parent and make sure that you've talked with your student about this scholarship or that high interest area, and really partner with your child to make sure they're getting this done. And the most important thing is the free application for federal student aid, because that can open the door to grants and other financial aid opportunities that are not merit-based. They're financial need-based.
And that takes me where I was going to ask you next. So let's talk about students that will be moving into their senior year next year or in a few years from now. That FAFSA is really the first thing you've got to do, and you should get that done October 1st, the day it opens up next fall.
So your senior year, yes, you absolutely need to make sure October 1 is on your calendar and that you engage in that FAFSA. The earlier, the better. I would say leaning in. There's a book that Shelley Taylor found. She's our district graduation coordinator, and she brought to my attention, and it's called The Countdown to College, 21 To-Do Lists. And it's about $10. It's the best $10 investment that you can make, because it really takes everything the school counselors will put on their websites and talk to students and parents about into to-do lists. And there's a quote in here that I think is so powerful. It says, it's from an admissions officer of the University of Michigan. It says, the first 3 years of high school is what gets you into college. Your senior year is what keeps you there. So where that leads us is that getting ready for post-secondary really starts in 8th grade. It starts with the courses you choose for high school, the rigor that you choose, developing your interest areas and taking electives in high school that speak to your interests and help you try them on for size. And then also making sure that you have a schedule, and you and your parents, so parents have a schedule too from freshman year on of what to do. So juniors, after your freshman and sophomore year, when you're already taking the rigor and the content you need, you should be engaging in volunteer service opportunities to build your portfolio. But junior year, you're really going to start with, where do I think I want to go to school? Now that could be a technical college, it could be an open enrollment college, it could be competitive admissions. But where do I want to go? Do your campus visits, do your research. Go to district college night as a junior and a senior in September of every year. Go to our district financial aid night events that talk about the types of financial aid. And then as parents and students develop those milestones, and every month, here's your to-do list, and making sure you stick with it. Campus visits and taking your SATs and ACTs in the junior year are critical, because by the time you are in the summer between your junior and senior year, you need to have your college applications in process, and you need to know that you visited those campuses and you like how you felt when you were on those campuses. Likewise, scholarships and the FAFSA form take the front seat then your senior year. So those are the tasks that you want to make sure you're doing throughout.
Start early.
Yes.
Get organized early. All right.
Absolutely.
So now you're organized, you've got the plan. A big question that will come up, recommendations. That's often a part of an application. So how do I get them? Who do I ask? What do I want them to say?
Okay, so the first thing we want students to do is develop a brag sheet, and that's another thing you can start your freshman year. But if you're a senior right now and you have to think back over the last 3.5 years, that's okay, you're young, your memory's good. So you can develop your brag sheet at any time. It's really good that you keep an ongoing list of achievements, participation, leadership, all of the things that you're doing throughout your high school career, including your volunteer service hours, and then ask the teachers that know you best to provide the letter of recommendation. Please give them enough time to write a thoughtful letter. And so you give them your brag sheet, make sure you ask the teachers that know you best, that can speak best about what they've observed in your character, your academic performance, and your leadership, and then give them enough time. And after the letter is completed, please write them a handwritten thank you note, because they are very busy people. And I don't know an educator that isn't thrilled to write a letter of recommendation, but to truly write a thoughtful letter, it takes about an hour or more. So that handwritten thank you note is really a nice touch.
Now, you mentioned the book as one sort of resource for parents. Are there other sites or services that you would steer families towards for help?
Absolutely, within the school, I'd say the school counselors, and then also the events that we hold and that schools hold to help parents obtain information. SAT and ACT websites for testing and for practicing and honing those test-taking skills are critical. The FAFSA website is important. The Bright Futures website for our Bright Futures Scholarship. And really within the SAT website and ACT websites, they have a lot of information that's similar to the 21 to-do lists about the milestones and the planning that students need to really invest in to be truly ready the beginning of that senior year to finish it up strong throughout that year.
What about, say, Coalition or Common that can really help you steer your college applications through one portal?
The Common application, some schools use it, others do not. And if they do use the Common app, it's a very nice tool for students to use because they can continue to reuse the same information and send their application to any of the schools that use the Common app. Not all of them use it, but when they do, absolutely, that's a great tool.
And so, Lori, you've already recommended the book that could help parents. Any other sites that you would steer families to for help through this process?
Absolutely. So as we discussed, the Common app allows students to apply with ease after they've entered their information, and they can use that application for any post-secondary school that accepts the Common app. In addition, our local partners, the Southwest Florida Community Foundation and the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, have a scholarship search engine that opens in the fall and then it closes it has only certain applications on it for local opportunities, but it's a one-stop shop for a lot of those. And we push that out to our high schools and they link up to it. But it's an excellent resource in addition to using the Google Classroom for scholarships. We also want parents and students to pursue, with testing, the SAT and ACT fee waivers if they're on free or reduced lunch. And since we are a community eligibility program district, it's harder sometimes to determine your eligibility. But there are financial guidelines that are published, and the schools have those. If you want to go to the SAT or ACT website as a parent, you can certainly look those up. But we have a one-page handout that will tell them if they qualify. And their student can get 2 fee waivers for the SAT and 2 for the ACT, which also means that they are eligible for application fee waivers for the college applications as well. So it's a way to save money.
Last minute tips for parents. It sounds like get organized early and have a plan going into this process.
Yes, and I think too, if you're the parent of a senior or a senior watching this, it's not too late. We still want to make sure that we encourage you to apply for your financial aid. Seek scholarships from this point forward. Make sure that you apply for Bright Futures, and your counselors are probably already beating that drum that you need to get that done. And if you haven't looked at your colleges yet, check them out, because some of them, their application deadlines have not passed. Some have, but others have not, and there's still time. And so I think, really just seniors, get on it now, get on the ball and let's go if you haven't, because time is of the essence. And then really for 9th to 11th grade, you really want to do your homework, make your plan. And if you have to catch up a little bit now, it's okay. But before you head into senior year, let's check some of those things off the to-do list.
What's the book again, in case that really helps?
Sure, it's Countdown to College, 21 to-do lists for high school. And it talks about how to ask for recommendation letters and provide tools for the recommenders, timelines of what to do when, all the way from just prior to going into grade 9, all the way through the end of grade 12.
All your questions answered for $11.
Yes, and still use your school counselor because they're an amazing resource.
They're there for you.
Yes, and this puts things at your fingertips as a student and a parent, but your counselor, get to know your counselor early on. They can point you and steer you towards some scholarships that you may just kind of miss in the list. It's always good to make sure your counselors know who you are and what your interests are, and that you visit your school counselor consistently throughout high school, because then by the time you start applying, they know exactly what your goals are, what you're looking for, and your name will pop into their head when they view certain opportunities. So.
Good advice, Lori. Thank you for the help and hopefully steering our parents in the right direction. Dr. Bethanyquisenberry, let's go over to you next.
Hello and welcome to Parent University. My name is Bethanyquisenberry and I am excited to have the opportunity to talk to you about one of our innovative programs that we have implemented into our classrooms this school year called iReady. iReady is an online assessment and instruction program that helps teachers provide all students a path to proficiency and growth in reading and in math. iReady has been implemented into our elementary and our middle schools. In elementary, students will participate in iReady in their reading block as well as their math block in kindergarten to 5th grade. In the middle schools, iReady is implemented for reading in all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade reading classes, and then for math in 6th grade, 7th grade, and in our pre-algebra course. Your student, as well as yourself, can access iReady through the student launchpad, as you see here. On each student's launchpad that you access through launchpad.leeschools.net, there is an application that you can click on that will take you to your student's iReady. Each year, the students take a diagnostic in iReady 3 times. So they take one in the beginning of the year in August for the baseline. They will take one this coming January. The window is January 19th to February 5th for our mid-year assessment, and then they'll take the diagnostic again at the end of the year. The diagnostic is really important because it gives the students their learning path. So the diagnostic determines which standards the students need intervention or possibly enrichment in reading and in math, and then it pushes out a learning path for those students. It also gives information for the teachers for how to help the students in the classrooms. This is an example of the parent report that will be sent home to all of our families each time the student takes the diagnostic. Sometimes the schools will send it home in their backpacks, and sometimes they will post it in their Google Classrooms. On the parent report, it's going to show you the scale score, which is their overall score on the diagnostic, and then it will also break it down by domains. So this shows an example of reading where it shows where the student tested in phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, and so on. You will also see a spot where it has the green shade and the gray shade. If the student's bar is in the green shade, that means that they are on grade level. You can also access the student's diagnostic report in their focus portal each time they take it. So this shows an example of what it looks like in their focus report. It shows you where by the grade level they scored. So for example, this student scored a level 3, and it shows where they scored in the level 3. So this specific student scored late level 3 based off of their scale score. This is an example of what the teacher sees. So parents receive a parent report that shows the diagnostic, but then the teachers get a little more information in their reports for how to ensure that they're able to gauge the instruction for their students. So this is an example of the diagnostic report that the teacher receives after a diagnostic is administered. As you can see, it has the same bar graph for each student, but on the bottom of their report, it shows their scale score for each specific domain. So it will also show if they need, this is a math diagnostic, so it would show if they need additional intervention in geometry or algebraic thinking, or maybe they scored very high in those domains and they need enrichment in those pieces. When the students take an additional diagnostic, so again, they take it in the beginning of the year, then they'll take it in January and again in the middle of the year. When they take it again this January, it's going to give the teacher an additional bar graph, but then it's also going to determine a growth score. So based off of their diagnostic results for their baseline and then their mid-year, it will determine what their typical growth and what their stretch growth is. So for this specific student, their typical growth was 16 points. This shows where the student scored at the end of the year. They made 28 points growth, and so it shows that they met that growth target. This helps the teacher to determine if the student is making adequate growth by the end of the school year, and if they are not, how to ensure that they provide interventions for those students. Once the student takes a diagnostic, as I said, it pushes out the student learning path. We have goals associated with that learning path. So The goals for the minutes per week is 45 minutes in reading as well as 45 minutes in math each week. In most classrooms, the students are able to complete those minutes in their class. Sometimes the student might need to do some of those pieces at home in order to ensure that they meet their goal. There is also a lessons passed goal. So the lessons completed each week should be an average of 1 to 2. Sometimes students will have 3 to 4. Sometimes students will only complete 1. The average pass rate should be above 70% or higher. And then interventions on each standard are provided if they're not passed. So if a student takes a lesson and it's on a specific standard, they don't pass with a 67% or higher, so that 70% is just average. If they don't pass at 60%, 67% or higher, iReady will push that lesson out to them again. If they don't pass that lesson again, then it turns that lesson off and it sends the teacher an alert to ensure that they provide intervention for that student. In your student's learning path, you also might see what's called teacher-assigned lessons. These are lessons that have been created by the teacher. So the teacher has the ability to push in a lesson that is based off of what they're learning in their classroom, or maybe they have seen through their small group instruction or individualized instruction that that specific student has an additional need that's not in their learning path. And so the teacher has the opportunity to push that lesson out for their students. This shows you an example of what the student's iReady looks like. So this is an example of a student that has both teacher-assigned lessons as well as their student-assigned path. You might not always see the teacher-assigned because, again, it's only if the teacher has pushed out a teacher-assigned lesson. So then the students have the option to either click on Next Lesson in the green, which is their student-assigned lessons, or to push out the teacher-assigned lesson, which is in the blue. The real important thing to remember to encourage your children is to make sure that when they start a lesson that they finish a lesson. So they should not be going back and forth between a teacher-assigned and not completing it and then go back into the iReady assigned and then not completing that. We want them to go into the lesson, work it out completely, take the quiz at the end of the lesson and complete it so that they are able to move on to their next standard. On the bottom, you'll see the red arrow pointing to that little blue box with the blue arrow. That is their progress, that goes into their progress. And then at the top, reading and math. You can switch back and forth to go into their reading data or their math data. So I'm going to show you an example of that. When you've clicked on the progress on the bottom, it will go into that specific student's progress for that week. So as you can see, this student up to this point has completed 47 minutes for reading, because that's what's clicked, for their iReady lessons. As to date, they have passed 35 lessons. If you look right there where it says pass rate, it shows that for the year, this student has passed 49 out of 52 of their lessons, so that's really good. If you click on completed work, then it's going to take you into their specific lesson. So then you're able to really see what their percentage has been on each of their lessons. And again, at any time, you can click on reading or math. If you want more opportunities to learn about iReady or to have more ideas for how to help your children at home, there is a website called iReady Central Family Center. And so the website is listed here, iReadyCentral.com/Family Center, and it goes into videos for how to support your child at home, especially if your child is working through Lee Home Connect. And then it also goes through different ways that you can monitor as well as provide celebrations for your student based on their iReady progress. So you can see it goes into videos for what is iReady and then also supports students learning at home. I hope that this has answered and given you some more information for this great program that we have implemented into our schools, iReady. If you ever have any additional questions, you can contact your child's teacher or your child's school at any time. And we thank you for all of your support for your children's learning. Thank you.
Every student wants to be acknowledged for their positive behavior. Recently, I stopped by Edison Park Elementary, where they reward their students in a fun and very interesting way.
There's a new sound at Edison Park Elementary that has the students thrilled for Fridays.
It gives you a chance to be recognized
Fifth grader Tabor Johnson is referring to the popular Core Card program. As a part of the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports program, also known as the PBIS, the school has implemented what they call the 4 core. Be respectful, be responsible, be safe, and be a good citizen.
Hey, if you can get this done, I'd love to.
Teachers like Ms. Rotz feel strongly about the positive impact it has on their students.
Anyone's ultimate goal, I think, as a teacher, to see them being productive citizens. And in terms of the Core 4, exemplifying that in everything they do, I think is what ultimately we're all after.
If you do all of being respectful, being responsible, and being safe, you're being a good citizen.
Not only are these students gaining the tools to exceed in life, but they're also being rewarded for it.
Good job, buddy. So proud of you.
Every teacher has their own stamp, even the principal with her own unique stamp, to give the students when they exemplify one of the Core 4.
Every Friday, these students get the chance to win a special prize by spinning a special wheel.
And she got a free.
When their card is completely filled, that's when their card gets entered into the class bucket, and then the teacher chooses one student per week that gets to then spin the wheel during lunchtime.
Even the Lee Home Connect students have a card and are able to participate in the program virtually.
When we spun it, she got lunch with the principal. And because she's distance learning, I did something a little special for her. I ordered McDonald's and had it delivered. And then I did a Zoom with her and we had lunch together.
Already seeing progress, administrators are hopeful that the bright future of these students are in the cards. This is Grace Edmonds with Lee Schools TV.
On behalf of the School Board of Lee County, I would like to thank you, the amazing parents and guardians participating in Parent University. Your dedication to Parent University is commendable and shows a high level of commitment to being engaged with our local school district. I know the importance of family engagement, and Parent University has the ability to get more information to the public, making us what we do more transparent. I know that 2020 was challenging for parents, but we hope that the lessons we've learned will make us stronger and ready to take our schools to the next level in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Giovanelli. I am Adam Malloy, Coordinator of Community Engagement, and today I have the pleasure of having Stephanie Ink-Edwards, Chief Development and Operating Officer for.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we have the opportunity to talk about Community Cooperative today. Just give us a little background. What is Community Cooperative and what do they do?
So we're a local nonprofit. We've been in existence for around 36 years, and our main mission is to end hunger and homelessness here in Lee County, and we do that through various programs. We've got a community cafe. A lot of folks call it the soup kitchen. We have a big mobile food pantry program. We're Meals on Wheels for Lee County. We have a big social services and education program, and we're really just working to end hunger here in our community.
And I know that you guys have had an amazing 2020 in terms of how much you've provided. Is there any sort of like status as to what this year has been in terms of your giving to the community?
Well, I can speak on behalf of all of my staff and our amazing volunteers to say that we are all really tired. When you say amazing, they have stepped up in incredible ways. Our numbers have skyrocketed due to the pandemic. Our mobile food pantry numbers are 4 times as high. We're seeing 4 times as many families. We've distributed almost 2.5 million pounds of food in the community. It's amazing and staggering, the work that we've done.
You know, and I've been able to kind of follow you guys on social media and see all of the different ways in which you connect with the community. So there's not just your physical site location. You guys are out mobile pantry sites at multiple locations, including some of our schools.
Yeah, which has been an incredible partnership, all of our Lee County School District schools, and we've had so many of them through the years, but that partnership really between our organizations and the schools, we're there not only to help families in need, but then we can connect them to other resources as well that they may need.
That's great. You know, I was thinking this kind of twofold. If we can provide any sort of resources for how people can get in touch with what you do, you know, there's a phone number, there's locations around, there's the flyers that you make, and we can put that out with Parent University. What are some ways that people can not just get in touch with you, but also help what you do?
Yeah, for folks really wanting to get involved with us, whether it's an individual or maybe your family, we have lots of opportunities. You could do something as small as hosting a food drive or donating to our mission. And really and truly, the biggest way that we always need help is volunteering. We have over 3,500 volunteers that help us accomplish the work that we do every single year. We could not complete our mission without them. So we are constantly looking for new people to come out and help serve our mission, really.
Oh, that's, from a personal experience, I remember, just last minute trying to sign up to volunteer for Thanksgiving and everything was full. They had the schedule. So I would recommend if you guys want to volunteer, make sure that you plan it ahead. You have to do the volunteer background check. And then once you're approved, then you can sign up, and it's very user-friendly to sign up on how to volunteer.
Oh yeah, we have an easy application process. It's on our website, communitycooperative.com/volunteer. We can get you signed up. Really, I kind of always say in jest, but I have 364 other days out of the year besides Thanksgiving where folks can come and volunteer. So come on those days, not just Thanksgiving.
Now, one thing, Stephanie, that I came across is a program that you're doing with local chefs. Is there any way that you can kind of talk a little bit about Plate It Up?
Oh yeah, for sure. Plate It Up is one of our new endeavors. As you can imagine, as a food pantry relying on community to do food drives and donate to us, sometimes we get some really unique and interesting items donated to our food pantry. And so we decided to take that and go challenge local chefs to do sort of like a cook-off, if you will, where we give them the opportunity to have some surprise ingredients. They don't know what they are. And they have to complete a meal out of it, which is really great. And we do that twofold. One, to promote the work that we do, but then to also show families and individuals coming to shop in our pantries or maybe at our mobile food pantries, you can make a meal out of anything.
So what's next for Community Cooperative? Like, where I know that you guys have grown exponentially in the past few years, and I know that's been around for a very long time, but where do you see Community Cooperative and where do you see their expansion down the road?
Well, in 2021, we really hope to just kind of hang on and continue to meet the mission of helping people get the resources that they need. Our social services program, we have a program called Building Stronger Families, where we really try to work with folks upstream before they get themselves into trouble and they're ending up on our doorstep needing help. So that is a really big part of what we're doing. Again, in collaboration with the school district, we get a ton of referrals from all of your schools. That's been a great partnership, and we want to continue growing that portion of our business.
Now, is there any other information that you would want the parents, the community to know? Any sort of promotion of events that you have coming up as we kind of end our segment here?
Well, no, I would just say come and volunteer with us, host a food drive. It can be as simple as doing something in your neighborhood or at your school. And if it's not with us and getting involved with us, look into volunteering with another organization in our community. I'm biased because I love what we do, but maybe that's not your thing. But there are so many organizations in Southwest Florida that need help, need volunteerism, and I would encourage folks to seek that out.
Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on. This has been amazing, and I've seen the work that you do, and it is a heavy load in terms of giving back to the community, and you do it in a very organized fashion. I know it probably from the outside it looks a lot smoother than everything, all the chaos that you have going on, but you guys do it, and you do it really well, and you're visible. And if you guys out there, if you get a chance, make sure that you connect with Community Cooperative in some way. They are one of the pillars of our community, and they're doing so much to help so many people. So thank you, Stephanie, for being on, and thank you for tuning in.
We have the Early Head Start program, which is a program that serves infants until 30 months. At 30 months, we start transitioning children into Head Start. Head Start, which is for pre-K students. They need to be 4 years old in order to qualify by September 1st, and they have to meet eligibility criteria, including income. And then there's the Community Child Care program. We provide the same wraparound services that we do, but for that program, parents are required to either be working or attending some sort of educational program. With the social emotional curriculum, it's the wish you wells when they come in the morning. It's the routine of putting their things away, brushing their teeth, washing their hands. In every center of the room, there is a structure that goes with that center. For instance, they have a science center, they have a math center. The animals, you're teaching responsibility and care for another.
They are tested when they first started to see what they needed more help on. And then the kids are dispersed, and then they have paralegals come in so they can help with certain things to get everybody up to the level where they should be in kindergarten. So if you have someone starting at birth, they're getting the swing of things, they're getting into habits, and they're getting into good habits at a young age. And once you're in a good habit, that'll set you for life.
The first word that comes to mind was stability. And I think that's for the children, made for them and for the parent.
They're learning everything. They're learning syllables, they're learning compound words, they're learning everything they need to know and be ready for in kindergarten.
When the pandemic hit now, a lot of the teachers were communing with the kids every day, but it was so different with Miss Brenda. Every day she called, and she really checked on him, gave me information as far as what to continue to do with him. She cared about what was going on in the pandemic, that we were safe, and it was so genuine.
This program gives a light in their eyes, a sparkle for education. It shows them the joys of learning and that it can be fun.
Our program really prepares them for what's to come. It prepares them to be an advocate for their child. It prepares them to be their child's first and best teacher.
And that wraps up another episode of Parent University. We're so glad that you could join us. As usual, we're going to give a shout out to the schools who had most participants during the last session. And Adam, you have that list.
So we have such exciting news. This gives us almost all of the schools in the entire district. But we want to give a special shout out to the schools that had some of the most high participants in participation. So big shout out to Allen Park Elementary, Lehigh Senior High, Rama C. Page, and coming in with the highest total number of any of our learning sessions, we had Three Oaks Elementary. Big shout out to Three Oaks. Thank you guys for engaging with us, getting this information. This is a project that we're really excited about building in collaboration with our parents.
And we're even more excited about all of those of you who joined us over the break and caught up on the last 3 sessions. We're so excited to have even more parents involved. And we're going to give those parents that did not have the opportunity another chance. So we'll have all the surveys open for the first 3 sessions up until January 17th, which will also be the deadline to complete the survey for the January session. So please make sure to participate. And of course, before we go, we like to do our monthly giveaway. So let's get that done and let's see. And this again is based on responses from the survey. So you have to participate in the survey to be entered to win into the drawing. Before we say who it is,
we have a winner.
Well, let's say what they win now.
Oh, okay. Let's see what they win first.
We talked about it and we figured everyone has a lot of great plans for the new year, so you're gonna need a little bit of energy. So we thought, let's get you some coffee. So you get $40 to Starbucks. It's gonna get you a lot of coffees. So who is the lucky winner?
We have Miss Gabriela Castillo.
Gabriela Castillo, do you remember what school?
I do not remember what school,
but
I will research Miss Castillo and I will get the information out to you. I will get the Starbucks. Thank you so much for participating and completing the survey. We're pumped to have you along for the ride.
Congratulations, Gabriela, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you again for joining us.